breaking news tonight in the race that stunned American politics. Sources tell us that former Governor Andrew Cuomo will not drop out of the race for New York mayor before a deadline, raising questions about whether he will also run in the general election as an independent. Cuomo did concede to Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani, whose victory on Tuesday was a political earthquake. He is now poised to face incumbent Mayor Eric Adams, who officially kicked off his re-election campaign as an independent. And tonight, Mamdani gave more insight into his views that have so many people on the left and the right upset tonight.
Do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. And I think ultimately the definition for me of why I call myself a democratic socialist is the words of Dr. King decades ago. He said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. And that's what I'm focused on, is dignity and taking on income inequality.
Mike Leon joins us in our fifth seat. Mike, that answer is giving some people some heartburn tonight.
We have to. What the hell does he know about God's children? With the standards he promotes, the gay stuff he promotes, the queer stuff he promotes, the trans stuff he promotes. What does he know about God's children? And capitalism served him pretty well. He's in a very well-off family. A Columbia professor, a filmmaker. Columbia is a private university. Capitalism served him pretty well.
Turn to the resident New Yorker, right, obviously. But I don't live in New York anymore. And let's get into why, because this is part of why he has won in so many different districts, like in Bedford-Stuyvesant, 43 points, in Crown Heights, plus 25 points. Because people like me that are paycheck to paycheck, not waiting for that check, we're paycheck to paycheck. We are struggling in New York City. I was born in Long Island Jewish Hospital. I'm a Bronx kid from 236 and Byron Avenue. This is my home. But living in a two-bedroom, two-bathroom on 50th and 10th in Hell's Kitchen was $3,400 during the pandemic when New York City was trying to get everybody back. Look, go to Zillow right now and look at that apartment. That's $5,500 a month.
That's right.
Now, in the districts, Cuomo's smart to stay in the race as an independent because of a lot of the policies that he's talking about, when you start to drill into them, a lot of them don't make too much sense in terms of how you execute them. But he's still speaking to the larger of the affordability crisis. He's from New York. He has lived the challenges that everyday New Yorkers like me go through. He's throwing the ideas out there, and it's resonating with people that are, let's be honest, look like us and are, in lower incomes, and they're like, we need some type of change in City Hall.
There's some truth to what he's saying. Okay, this is sort of like, when Democrats in the election against Trump kept talking in terms that Americans were like, what does this even mean? Like, people don't care what you call it. They want to know what you're doing for them. And he is speaking to that, whether you like the word socialism or not.
Yes, he's speaking to these issues that a lot of people have with financial crises, but he's trying to promote basically communist ideas. State-run grocery stores? Limiting rent price increases by the government? That's not capitalism. Giving out tons and tons of benefits? Now to citizens, after all the New Yorkers saw all the benefits given out to illegals. But then again, a lot of the maybe illegals are the ones who voted for this guy in the primary. So maybe he's feeding off the Democrat Party's own problem of giving out money to illegals, and now citizens in New York are like, yo, bro, you better be... Sorry, let me do a New York accent. You better be giving me out some money or something. You see all these illegals, huh?
I watched him today, and I actually watched Mayor Adams as well. And to watch Mayor Adams, I can see where the campaign's going. He made it very clear. It's about safety. It's about blue collar versus a young man with dreams. And that's what he...
And we'll play it when you're done.
He laid that out. But let me tell you something. Watching Mamdani today, don't underestimate this guy. And I think having Cuomo get in the race helps Mamdani, to be very sincere with you. Because at the end of the day, Mamdani... He's authentic. He's a believer. Yeah. They asked him on capitalism. He was straight up.
That's right.
So be careful with that. That's why I always said Bernie Sanders would have been stronger in an election, because he's a believer.
But the only issue,
authenticity goes a long way in American politics today.
The only issue, and I was talking to somebody just before this that works in investment banking, and he was like, Wall Street's probably not going to vote for this guy. Like, let's be honest. Because when you start to drill into certain things, like the grocery store plan, right? Like, how is that going to impact capitalism and small groceries? Like, if I own a bodega and the amount of rent that I'm paying to have that bodega. And I do price markups based on what I'm buying and what I sell in the store. That's capitalism. Like, yes, it's wrong to do that and mark it up 20x.
But you might not have to if you're, just as those apartments were going up. I used to live in New York. I used to live in Bed-Stuy. I used to teach at Boys and Girls High School. I can't come back to this city right now because it is too expensive. I want to live in this city, but I am priced out of it.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. I love New York. I want to live in the city. I really do. But it is so expensive. When I was here and living as a teacher, I went into debt because you can't. I was playing by the rules. I was living the American dream, and I went into debt. And so he is giving people, and I will say, I am not a socialist. I believe that everyone should have a pathway to wealth. But we have to agree with what he was saying, is that the distribution of wealth in this country is drastic. And you know what? People on Wall Street might not vote for him, but you know, the most people on Wall Street don't make the money that the CEOs of these firms make.
Well, and it wasn't just socialists voting for him.
That's
in the
right.
Primary. It was a lot larger than that. People that are feeling your pain, and his message resonates, which I think sends a message to the Democratic Party that cost is still the number one issue. And whether you're running as a socialist or whatever, that is the issue.
Let me give you
But the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans in handling the cost issue are that the Democrats claim how we are going to stop prices from going up by government control. We're also going to give out more and more free money, whereas Republicans say we're going to make the economy better, give you guys more opportunities. Now, you could also switch that around when you see Trump's been trying to do this tariff thing, which is government control, government impact on the economy. Instead of freeing up more opportunity for people, they're trying to basically incentivize people to come back and build in the U.S. So now the lines have kind of become blurred. Before it was Democrats just give out free money, give out all this free stuff, raise taxes. Republicans try to lower taxes, give people more opportunity, tax breaks, without as much government control on the economy. But now with Trump doing the tariffs to try to basically force people to come back and build in America to then help the rest of the economy, that line is kind of being blurred.
what's been going on with New York's wealthy folks. Here's Ryan Serhant, who's a luxury real estate broker. You might remember him from $1 Million Listing. He says, my number one job will be moving people from New York to Florida again. Based on the results, clients are going to hold off on making any kind of investments in New York City. You have others like billionaire hedge fund manager and MAGA folk, Bill Ackman, saying socialism has no place in the economic capital. The ability of New York City to offer services to the poor and needy, let alone the average New Yorker, is entirely dependent on New York City being a business-friendly environment and a place where wealthy residents are willing to spend 183 days and assume the associated tax burden. There is truth to what he's saying about the tax base of the city, but I'm wondering the complaints from the people who are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. How does that fall on the ears of people making $50,000 and $60,000 and $70,000?
Look, everyone's welcome to Miami.
If I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions of dollars a year, I do not want to pay for the broke person on the street who decides to sit around all day, smoke, do drugs, chill out, do nothing productive with their life, nor do I want to pay for the illegals that have fled the city. So why do I have some tax burden to pay for other people's lifestyle if I'm making a lot of money? Hell no.
In Florida, we welcome all New York expats who wants to be there. I'll be your relocation specialist. We've had so many
all
people.
the business.
Yeah, we've had so many people, so many New Yorkers like myself move to Florida during the COVID years, and we're going to have a second wave, and we've got plenty of land and real estate down there. You're going to see an exodus if Zoran gets in, and we're already being promised that, not just because of high cost of living, but because of the Jewish base here. They're scared, and I'm hearing from various people here in New York, and they're concerned about their safety living here with a Muslim mayor, and that's the problem.
Highly probable.
Hold on.
They shouldn't
Because
be.
of
Hold on. We talked about this yesterday, and since you brought it up, might as well bring it up again. The idea that because he is Muslim, he is a threat to Jewish New Yorkers? Is that really what
No,
you're saying?
it's because of his anti-Israel rhetoric that he's been putting out
But what does
there.
that have to do with him being Muslim? I think this is where things, you can go after his policies, but what does that have to do with his faith?
It's not about his faith. It's because he is perpetuating this anti-Israeli rhetoric, and New Yorkers are hearing it, and they're scared. That's what I'm hearing back from friends, Jewish
He's
friends.
aimed at Bibi.
And
He's aimed at
in that
Bibi.
beat.
He's aimed at a lot at Bibi. He did the interview with Mehdi Hassan, and he aimed at Bibi, not necessarily.
I think
But Abby, he's Muslim. Who cares? That's not the point here. His policies are the problem. I think his biggest deficiency is defund the police. If he sticks to that, I think Mayor Adams has a great shot of winning this thing. But if Cuomo gets in the race, I think Zohan's the next mayor
I think
of
you're
New
right.
York.
I think that also, well, I'm not even going to spend my time on Cuomo, but I think that I don't think he is defund the police. He has this perspective on public safety that a lot of people have, is that for some issues that happen on the street with mental health crisis, if you actually go and look at his policies, he's saying what a lot of Republicans and Democrats have said, that the police are not the answer for all the problems in our city. And actually, a lot of police officers agree with that. I think it comes down to this. I understand that Jewish Americans in this country are feeling very fearful. They have a right to, because anti-Semitism is on the rise and crimes towards Jewish people have been on the rise. Just like during COVID, crimes towards Asian Americans were on the rise because of rhetoric. So we have to be really careful about why people should not be afraid of him becoming mayor because he is Muslim. People should be afraid because anti-Semitism lives in this country. And he does have policies. I don't live in New York, so I didn't vote for him. But he does have policies that he would put some of his budget towards directly making sure that there's an anti-hate component in public safety that is specifically targeted towards Jewish Americans, which is what you want a mayor from us.
So, real quick.
This whole argument that the United States has all of this anti-this rhetoric, all this anti-that rhetoric, all this hate. We are the most inclusive country in the world that I've ever seen. I've traveled to, I think, 25 countries. Europe, Latin America, Asia, Southeast Asia, is it Central Asia? I don't know. Most inclusive country, the United States, but they will have you believe that it's so scary. It's so scary to be in the U.S. if you're black, if you're Muslim. Give me a break. Some of the anti-certain people attitudes come from the ridiculousness of their behaviors. And where does this guy's belief in defund the police maybe come from? I don't know. Maybe like a lot of the Muslims in the UK that want to have Sharia law and want to impose their own laws on women, on people, based on their Islamic beliefs. I don't know. Maybe he wants to do the same thing because of his Islamic beliefs as a basis. Get rid of the police. Okay, well, if you get rid of the police, what do you do then? Maybe the Sharia law comes next, but he's not telling everybody. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It's itsSeanDaniel here, and there's Brutus with his USA hat, getting ready for 4th of July, even his balloon. And we'll see you in the next one.